What's going on, Giants fans? Hit Squad back at it with another video. And y'all already know who's here, man. We got Tommy G, my boy. He was on last season, if you guys remember. If not, go check it out. It is on the channel. But welcome to another episode of the Giant Breakdown. Tommy, how you doing, my man?
Doing well, my brother. Always blessed to be back with you. We've been working together for years now. So happy to see you back putting out content. Like, I feel like the Giants content world is back to normal when his squad's putting his stuff out. You know what I'm
Thank you,
saying?
man.
And I'm always here for you. I mean, we've been rocking since when we didn't even have our faces on the screen. We just had the little icons. So,
Bro, yeah,
I always
that's
remember
crazy.
that. Remember that?
Yeah, I do, bro. That was a time in our channel's history. And I'm sure that the day ones will remember that as well. But you know what? We on to big things now. You doing it big. And if you guys want, which I highly encourage, Tommy G's information to his channel and to his Twitter as well, or now known as X, will be in the description box below. I do, again, really want to stress, go subscribe. Tommy, man, we have an incredible game coming up this Sunday. I feel like one that I see some Giants fans kind of overreacting to. I see them, thinking that the sky's falling, which coming off of that loss, I get it. But I mean, I can't be the only one thinking that the Giants should win this game, right? Like,
No, absolutely. I'm with you. And listen, bro, I understand the sky is falling thing. Everybody was excited. Everybody was hyped coming off the first playoff win in a decade, right? Prime time, Sunday night, Dallas Cowboys. They've been beating the crap out of the Giants for a long time. You would think at least this would be a competitive game. One of those heartbreakers the Giants have been used to with the Cowboys. Like, even last year, yeah, Giants lost both games, but by one score.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
nobody seen this blowout coming. Nobody. So I see why the fans are kind of up in arms about it, but everybody needs to just chill. Just take a chill pill. It's one game out of 17. Winnable game coming up Sunday. So while fans are getting crazy and getting mad about it, I get it. I understand it. But it is not over. I think that game was just an aberration versus Dallas. That was just, listen, if you give up a pick six in a game, that's a crushing play, right? That's a deflating play. If you give up a blocked field goal for a touchdown in a game, that's a crushing, deflating play.
Game
What about when
changer.
you give what about when you give up back to basically almost back to back in the first half opening night? There's no coming back.
Yeah, against an elite team too. Let's throw that in there because
Right.
Dallas is an elite team. But no, you're absolutely right. I echo that. I don't believe this Giants team is as bad that as a lot of people make them out to be. I think what happened Sunday was the absolute worst case scenario that not just the Giants but any NFL team can have. I mean, just shooting yourselves in the foot, and you're just practically giving away the game to your opponent. And I mean, when you go against a team like Dallas, I mean, you can't afford to do that. But the good thing is with this Arizona Cardinals team, they are not Dallas. They are nowhere near Dallas, not even in the same class as Dallas. I never want to say that a team is tanking because, I think that these coaches put a lot of time into it. These players
Absolutely.
put a lot of time into it as well. Nobody's just going to go out there and just, openly tank. But
Right.
they are making some decisions that kind of have me thinking, could they be? I don't know. I never want to say that. But, I mean, let's be honest here, Tommy. I mean, I think you look at this Arizona team and just comparing it to this Giants roster, I mean, I think the Giants have a more talented roster. I mean, maybe outside of like Buda Baker. I think Buda
Right.
Baker is an elite player at his position. But other than that, the Giants should be able to handle business going into this game against Arizona. I know I've seen some people before you guys get in the comments that Arizona had 6 sacks against Sam Howell in Washington. I think there needs to be a little bit more context on those 6 sacks. 6 sacks are 6 sacks, don't get me
Right.
wrong. But when you look at how they got those 6 sacks, and you look at how they scored points too, for
Right.
Arizona. To me, I didn't see anything that screamed, this is a team that I'm expecting to really upset the New York Giants. I saw a team that was very lackluster on offense. They have a
Yep.
QB that's been there for 2 weeks. I think that's a plus for Wink Martindale's defense. And then, you look at the defense for, Arizona, who, I mean, that's quoting Jonathan Gannon, they got some killers over there, on defense. But, I think that this should be a good test for this offense because I want to see Darren Waller, get,
Facts.
some action in this game. You see already people looking at the draft at quarterback. I'm not there yet. I'm going to stand on my prediction for the record for this team. I'm not going to back down on it now after one game. We got
Right.
16 more. But Tommy, like, what are some of the things that you're looking at going into this game that you feel the Giants need to do in order to come out with a win, a much needed win, let's say, against the
Right.
Arizona Cardinals?
Well, first of all, when you say stand on a record, I'm doing the same thing. I predicted 10 wins. Nobody came into this season saying the Giants were definitely going to be Dallas opening night. That wasn't some shocker that we lost that game. The shocker was that it was a blowout, but not a lot of people had that as a win on there. Some may have, some may have not have. But when you go into this Arizona game, a couple things stand out to me. First of all, when you look at the Arizona offensive line, Giants fans, if you think your offensive line is bad, Arizona is right there,
Oh, yeah.
ranked 31st, ranked 31st by PFF coming into the season. And last week they did not disappoint. They gave up 3 sacks, almost 40% pressure rate on Dobbs. But you made a good point earlier when you said the 6 sacks by Arizona need a little bit of asterisk. It's true. Howell was running into sacks, didn't have good pocket presence, scrambling. Dobbs is doing the same thing. But when you really look at that offensive line of Arizona, it's not good. They got a bunch of miscast players on there. They got a couple left tackles sprinkled throughout the whole offensive line, right?
Absolutely.
So, when you look at this, you come off the Dallas game, right? You got Azeez Ojulari, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence. You had 0 sacks against Dallas for the
Disgusting.
third straight game. 3 straight games, the Giants haven't been able to get a single sack on the Cowboys. That's going to change Sunday. I think they get home. Unfortunate what's going on with Azeez Ojulari, looking like he's not going to play with the
Yeah.
hamstring issue.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing we can get to. But offensively, Giants need to run the football. I don't feel comfortable.
Absolutely.
Listen, Arizona may not have a great defense. They are fast. They are aggressive. I like Zaven Collins. He had 2 sacks last week. He's just started to transition to an edge defender from outside linebacker, a stand-up linebacker. But at the end of the day, you cannot drop back right now 25, 30 times a game if you're the New York Giants. There's no way you could have confidence in that offensive line. Evan Neal, borderline bust right now, almost unplayable.
Yeah.
Mark Lewinsky, even worse than Evan Neal. So how do you drop
Crazy.
back Daniel Jones 25, 30 times this game? You give it to Saquon Barkley. You feed the beast. He's still this team's best offensive player. I love Hyatt. I love Jones. I love Campbell. Everybody's great. Waller. Saquon Barkley, until someone proves otherwise, the best offensive weapon on his team. Feed him on offense 25 times, 30 times, whether carries, receptions mixed up. Get him involved. Wear down that defensive line of Arizona.
Yeah.
Put some weight, put some pressure on them so this offensive line could play downhill. And defensively, you got to get home. You got a disaster combo if you're the Cardinals. You got a bad offensive line, and you got a quarterback that's basically been there for a cup of coffee. He's been on more teams than he's played seasons in the league.
Yeah.
He's a journeyman.
Crazy.
So defense, I expect Wink to go after him, blitz him from the edges. I think Isaiah Simmons is going to be used a lot more. Didn't play a lot of the team snaps last week. Understandable. Just got traded for a couple weeks before the season. Go after that quarterback if you're Wink on defense. On offense, run the ball, feed Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the coffin, man. And I think this Giants team has to be able to take advantage of this Arizona Cardinals team, both on offense and on defense. I mean, looking at, Arizona's offense, you said it best. I mean, their offensive line is pretty much where the Giants' offensive line is at the moment, and it's not looking good for Arizona. And I look at this defense and I say, okay, we don't know what's going to happen with Azeez. We'll see if he plays or not. But if he doesn't, Kayvon, who Well, I'm gonna get to this in a second because I'm not liking what I'm seeing from the timeline on X at the moment. But with Aziz out the lineup, Kayvon, what can you do in this game? Can you step up and take advantage of the opportunity and
Right.
show why you were selected fifth overall? I think he had a pretty decent game for what you could call decent against Dallas,
It
but
wasn't bad.
yeah, I see way too many people already trying to call him a bust, and I'm not here for it. I'm
Nope.
really not here for it. If you want to say
Totally
Evan
agree.
Neal,
Right.
I still have high hopes for Evan Neal, but I'm not
Right.
going to argue with you if you want to go down
Right.
that route. I won't argue with you until he proves otherwise. Kayvon has shown flashes that he can be a very dominant player in this league. And can we also just make it clear here that Dallas has a very good offensive line as
Oh
well?
yeah.
One
And
of the better O
defense.
lines in the league.
Yeah, they got one of the most talented rosters in general, man. They
Yeah.
got great team speed. They've been playing together for a few years now, that roster. They have great chemistry. And I think that's what hurt the Giants, too. And, I don't mean to cut you off. I
No,
apologize.
you
Let's talk
good. You
about
good.
Bobby Johnson for a minute, Giants offensive line coach. So we've already established tonight that the Cardinals and the Giants offensive lines are kind of in similar places, right? You know what the biggest difference is between those two lines? The
Talent.
Giants. The Giants possess the number 4 overall pick on that line, the number 7 overall pick on that line, the number 57 overall pick on that
Very
line.
true.
So let's talk about Bobby Johnson. And he comes out in the interview and he says, well, rotating the guards had nothing to do with the chemistry. And, that doesn't matter. And, I don't treat Evan Neal differently. He has to do what he has to do. Bad answers, in my opinion. First of
I
all,
agree.
you were rotating the guards because there was no standout play there. Nobody stepped up at that guard position, so that was going to be a wash. The guards are going to struggle. But when you rotate these guards in and out, couple things. One, you do screw with the chemistry. There's no question about
Absolutely.
that. And you
Absolutely.
affect these players' confidence. Yeah, they're professionals. They're in the NFL, get paid a lot of money, but they have confidence too. And you're taking these guys in and out, in and out, in and out. I'm not a fan of Bobby Johnson as a coach. Wasn't good in Buffalo, was mediocre. He has an offensive line right now that's super talented, that's playing like one of the worst lines in the NFL. Honestly, if the Giants get on a little bit of a losing streak here, which is possible with San Fran coming up, you got a tough schedule, I would not be surprised to see Brian Dable make a move at the offensive line coach area. I would
I
not.
agree with you, bro. I really do. And when I honestly think of Bobby Johnson, and I've been a little too critical of him on X, because I see the talent that we have at this offensive line, and I say to myself, there's no way that they should be playing the way that they're playing right now. Especially
Right.
like you just stated, look at the investments that they've made, and I believe I got to double check. I believe it might have been Monty on X who had pointed it out, and I thought this was just kind of mind blowing. You look at players like Wyatt Teller from the Browns, and at the time Buffalo wanted nothing to do with him, and it didn't work out, and now he's thriving over there with
Yeah.
the Browns, and the Browns have a great offensive line coach, and I think that coaching matters. I think the Giants, yes, we do need to address the guard position right now on this offensive line, but there's still talent on this offensive line. I don't want to list Evan Neal as a bust yet because we've seen what he's been able to do in college. And I
Right.
ask myself, what is going wrong? What's going on with Evan right
Yeah.
now? Is it confidence? Because that can get coached up. Is it, he worked on his stance a little bit in the offseason, and we're just not seeing, those improvements right now. So, I agree with you. I did not like Bobby Johnson's answers. I remember seeing that video earlier today, and, I just kind of shook my head at it because I was really disappointed hearing that. I don't want to say that he doesn't want to throw his head coach under the bus because obviously Dayball has to sign off on these things,
Absolutely.
but I thought the answers could have been a little bit better and at least take some form of accountability. But to go back to that Arizona offense, this defense has to take advantage of it. Dexter Lawrence, I expect Dexter Lawrence to be, a problem in this game, especially going up against
Absolutely.
that O line. I agree with you. Isaiah Simmons, I believe he's going to have more time in this game. And, for me, as long as this offensive line does not play as, which I don't think it will, but as long as it doesn't play as bad as it did against Dallas, I think the Giants have more than a shot to win this game. I think Giants fans right now are just kind of overreacting to, a very deflating loss against the
It's
division
tough.
rival on prime time. Just utterly embarrassing. But, special teams can't be an Achilles heel to this team anymore. It can't be, especially in this game. We can't beat ourselves. We can't turn the ball over. I love Daniel Jones. I'm a Daniel Jones supporter, but there were some decisions last week that I was really shaking my head to, and I said, that's rookie Daniel Jones.
Yeah, man.
But we've seen what this coaching staff's been able to do, and I think that he will. We're not going to see that going forward. I really do believe that, but ultimately, Daniel Jones has to put that on his shoulders and lead this team. But Tommy, man, what are some players that you're looking for in this game? You know, I got a couple here, but I really
Yeah.
want to hear some players that you're looking for in this game to really stand out.
Well, yeah, I'll start with who you were just talking about, quarterback Daniel Jones, right? And anybody that knows me has followed my content, my channel. I've been a huge Daniel Jones supporter. I think he's gotten a raw deal so far in his career with Joe Judge, Jason Garrett, Pat Schumer. He's kind of been through the coaching carousel. It's been like 4 or 5 offensive coordinators, right? But at some point, you got to ask yourself, you know, if you're a Giants fan, if you coach on the Giants, players on the Giants, if this offensive line stays this way to the top, like you said, it's not going to be as bad. But if it is a bad offensive line, what's going to happen the rest of the season with Daniel Jones? Because he hasn't showed the propensity to elevate play when that happens. He hasn't showed the propensity to make big plays when everything is failing around him. I mean, you go back to the 3 Cowboys-Eagles games combined, the last 3 taking out the Week 18 game because starters weren't in there. Giants have been outscored 129-28.
Oh, that hurts.
And Daniel Jones was the quarterback in those games, and you've seen it Sunday night. He got hit early and often. He missed some shots. He had a whole shot that he could have took on the interception to Barkley. Put Barkley in a little bit of a bad spot there, I thought.
He did.
He didn't have a time to even turn around. He got popped. And you're getting paid, brother. You're getting them big money now. You're getting the franchise money. And I know Daniel Jones supporters don't want to hear that. And the offensive line absolutely hurts his progression. But at some point, you have to see him elevate. You have to be able to say, you know what? That offensive line was terrible today. Receivers dropped some passes. But damn, Daniel Jones balled out regardless of that. So that's what I look for Sunday. I do expect the offensive line still to struggle somewhat. I look for Daniel Jones to elevate play. Put the ball up there. Don't play scared. Take your shots. You don't have Jason Garrett and Joe Judge anymore telling you not to throw deep. Take those shots because if you have a struggling offensive line, guess what? You're not going to have a lot of those opportunities coming to you. You have to nail the ones you do have.
Yeah.
So that would be my offensive player, one of them. Obviously, Barkley, we talked about a little bit. He didn't get much burn in the first game versus Dallas. Got a couple carries. Giants got away from the run far too early. I look for him in this game to really step up as a leader on his team. Take 20 carries, take the ball, average 4.55 yards per carry. Break some pretty long runs off, catch some passes out of the backfield, throw in some good pass block, whatever it is, as a leader on this team, one of the best running backs in the NFL, between Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones, they have to step up this game and not fade into obscurity if the game goes bad, not fade into the bad play and add to it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
Step up, show that you're the leaders of the team. Now, on defense, it's interesting when you really look at the defense because they didn't have a terrible game Sunday night. They really weren't on the field much. You gave up 13 points on offense and special teams combined. But on defense, I look at that defensive line. I look at Kayvon Thibodeau, especially with his and I'm sure we probably got the same players because
Oh, we do so far.
It's true. Yeah, it's a fact. Like, it's a fact. Kayvon Thibodeau needs to step up. I don't think he's a bust at all. I just tweeted something earlier that if you want to call Evan Neal a bust, I think it's too soon, but I am not going to disagree with you because he has not shown anything otherwise to prove he's not a bust.
Absolutely.
Thibodeau, on the other hand, last year had the game-winning sack versus the Ravens, had the game where he absolutely took over versus the Commanders in that second matchup.
Yes,
that was
sir.
basically a playoff game. The Giants went to the playoffs because of that game, because if you remember, whoever lost that game, percentage-wise of making the playoffs was going from like 80% making it to like 20% making it.
Dramatic
So that
drop.
Washington game was huge. So he has that dog in him. But can he be consistent? And can he develop consistency, right? You're going against a bad offensive line. The Giants need to get up early so that D-line can pin their ears back, go after that Arizona offensive line. So he would be one defensive player. For the second defensive player, I'm going to look at Xavier McKinney, another leader, another captain.
Okay.
I thought he played well versus Dallas. When I watched the game live, I thought he played well. Yeah, he had the missed tackle versus CD Lamb. That was unfortunate. Gave up about an extra 15, 20 yards with that missed tackle, but he was everywhere. He was all over the field, and he was on time. He was processing the field quickly. I look for him to do the same. Joshua Dobbs is not a good quarterback. Let's not sugarcoat it.
Absolutely.
He's going to throw something up for grabs Sunday, and I look for McKinney to bring one down.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's funny because you and I do have similar players. I had Daniel Jones. I want to see, how can he bounce back off of that performance against Dallas. I think he's going to have a fine game in this game. I expect him to be efficient. Saquon, I look at Arizona's run defense, and, Arizona's run defense gave up just shy of 100 yards last week, 60 of them, to Robinson from the Commanders. And I think you and I can both agree that Robinson and Saquon are not the same back. So for me, I mean, obviously the players have to do it, but if Robinson could get 60, there's no reason why Saquon can't get 60 at bare minimum. If we're running the ball as much as I expect us to. Kayvon, what can you do with Azeez Ojulari possibly being out with the hamstring? We'll see. And then I look at, Tay Banks. I thought, Deontay Banks had a solid game against Dallas. He seemed to be everywhere that he needed to be. He had a beautiful pass breakup in the end zone.
Yep.
I believe McKinney was on that play too, covering, I believe it was Ferguson.
Yep.
Beautiful pass breakup. He looked solid covering Michael Gallup. So the rookies, they came last week. They came to shine. I expect Tay Banks to have a similar performance. Hollywood Brown, I loved him when he was with the Ravens, but he's clearly, taking a step off. The Moore kid, his name isn't coming to me at the moment. I believe it's Rondale Moore. Yeah. Rondale Moore, shifty receiver, but primarily plays in the slot. I think this is a game where, similar to what you said about Xavier McKinney, I think, Tay Banks comes down with his first interception of the season. I think it's this game, man. I mean, I really do. He looked solid last week against, let's be honest here, Michael Gallup. He's a solid receiver. Brandon Cooks, solid receiver. And these rookies are going to have their bumps, but he's looking like the real deal. And lastly, Joshua Ezeudu. I mean, Joshua Ezeudu, man. I mean, I feel like the fans have been really clamoring to get these young guys some more reps. I think we're all kind of done with Lewinsky right now. But with Ezeudu, we'll see with Thomas. I'm kind of in the mindset that he's not going to play this week. I think it would be smart for him not to play. But I want to see what Ezeudu has. In limited action last week, he looked pretty good, against Dallas's, third stringers. Don't get me wrong. But those same third stringers were giving the work to Evan Neal. So take that for what you will. Yeah, it is sad. But he held his own. So, I want to see what does this, what does the sophomore player have, and can, potentially he show enough, to get him more action on the field when Andrew Thomas comes back. You already hear in the conversations of possibly, do we kick Neal to guard? I honestly, and I might be in the minority here, Tommy, but I think that if Ezeudu has a good performance against this Arizona Cardinals team, I mean, I think at some point in the season, if Evan Neal is just not developing, he's looking worse, he's not showing any signs of progression, you might have to kick him at guard and put Ezeudu at right tackle until you can figure out what are we going to do at right tackle. Now, obviously, we'll see how the season plays out if they make any signings, but Ezeudu, I mean, I thought he looked fairly decent last year as well. So I really want to see what the young man has. I think he could be pretty promising in this offensive line. But,
and he's athletic.
Yeah.
The number one thing with Ezeudu, he's probably the most athletic offensive lineman the Giants have. And you've seen when they moved him to left tackle Sunday night, he was able to get out there. He was able to use that kick step. He was in good position. So, I said before the season started, the guards are going to be Bredesen, Lewinsky. I think we all kind of knew that. But at some point here, you're gonna have to take Lewinsky out. He's in his ninth year. He's regressed the last couple of seasons. That regression is accelerated now. You've seen that Sunday night. Looks like he doesn't even want to be there. Let's be honest. Like, and can you really blame him? The guy's getting his ass kicked every time they drop back. So I want to see Azudu in the mix, whether that's at right tackle with Neal at right guard, whether it's Bredesen moves to right guard instead of Glowinski and you put Azudu at left guard. I think very, very soon, probably not this week or next week on the short week, you're going to see a shakeup with that offensive line, and Azudu's going to be right in the middle of that.
I hope you're right, Tommy. I really do, and I'm sure that a lot of people in Giants Nation hope that you're right as well. Because I mean, the kid looks like he has some promise to him, and again, I think if he has a solid game, this upcoming by the time you guys see it, it'll be tomorrow. But if he has a solid game, I mean, I think that warrants him going forward at least the conversation of, okay, let's get this kid some more time. Let's get him some more snaps in. Glowinski's probably not going to be here next season, come the off season. Let's see what we have with these young guys. So, hey, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Yeah, I really do appreciate it. It's been a fun one. Tommy, before we head out, do you have anything you want to say to the people, man?
Yeah, just want to say thank you, Hit, for having me on. You're my brother.
Absolutely.
You've been there. You supported Tommy's Takes before there was ever even a Tommy's Takes, when it was just Tommy G. So you're my brother. I'm always here for you. You know that. I always got your back. Whenever you need me, I'm here. I'm always blessed and appreciative to be on your show. I think you are one of the core members of this community. You've been around a long time. You've been doing this forever. You know how I know you've been doing this forever? Because your damn Saquon Barkley draft video pops up on my YouTube every other day. I'm like, damn, bro, I was going to text you the other day. Giants take Saquon Barkley, number 2. I'm like, yo, what's good with this video? Like, this video just keeps popping up. But all joking aside, bro, like, you do this the right way, and I appreciate you. I love you. You mean the world to me. Everybody check out my show, Tommy's Takes, on Giants Country YouTube. We're doing big things over there. We're starting to really move the needle forward. You can check me out on Twitter, TommyG105. I'm also on TikTok, Tommy's Takes. And last but not least, Giants 24, Cardinals 13.
Oh, I love it. And
what do you think?
Look,
What you think? Let me hear yours.
first of all, I want to say you already know that's mutual. The love is all mutual here. I consider you like a brother, man. Keep up the hard and great work, man. You're doing an excellent job. And for me, man, I got this Giants team winning 31-17.
Ooh, 30
I think
burger.
this is the first 30 burger of the season.
I like that.
This has to be, to me, a dominating performance by this Giants team. This is a team that you should beat. We know that you can beat the teams that you should beat. We got to see if you can beat the teams that, people are counting you out, a la Dallas. I want to see, going forward, can we beat those elite teams? But this is a team the Giants should, absolutely beat. If they don't, you might be getting a call from me come, Sunday evening, man, with some tears in my eyes.
Not to cut you off, if the Giants lose this game, brother, they are in serious, serious trouble this season because the schedule just rockets up after that. And like you said, this should be a game the Giants flex some muscle. Doesn't feel like it at all after what happened versus Dallas, but
Definitely.
If the Giants lose Sunday, and I think they're gonna win, you're gonna see a lot of stuff hitting the fan. You're going to see a lot of second guessing from last year's players, coaches, but let's hope that doesn't happen because, like I said, that schedule ramps up 100 miles per hour faster after this Cardinals game. But I got Giants winning regardless.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Again, y'all can find Tommy's Twitter as well as his YouTube channel. We'll make sure to put his TikTok in the description as well. You guys can find all of that there. Appreciate you guys stopping by, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Take it easy.
Peace.